now we
Hmm.
move on to the next chapter of your life, which is taking back the charge. So, let's talk about uh, how and when did you know that you were over all the pain and suffering? So, I mean, if there was such a thing, if at all, and when did you know that you were winning at life again?
So I think it didn't happen at one point. I think I gradually moved to that point in my life where, one of my closest friends, I told her one day, I said, I go out with all of you on the weekends. So I have a great group of friends, like couple friends. And, I was the only single one in that group. And I told her one day, I said, you all go back home after we meet together in a car. And I am the one person. I mean, it physically, I mean, it actually happened to me where, their cars came in the valley one by one and they all left. And I was left standing alone waiting for my car. And it kind of, that realization kind of dawned on me that I am alone. And why am I alone? And, I started questioning that. And then, I would see little things that husbands would do for their wives when we were all around. And, like she's having a drink, and her glass gets empty and the husband will come and pour some more, or go and fetch her another one. But I had to get up and get my own. Yes, I did have great friends, guys who would make me feel, as a part of their group. I started talking about it to a few friends who were very close to me. And one of them was like, why did you just close yourself up completely, for love? Why do you not open yourself up and, see what comes your way? I mean, it's not like you have to get married to the first person you meet, but why completely throw that, idea out of the window? Why not explore it a little further? And maybe this time around you will get lucky. You always don't get a bad hand dealt to you. So, why not try it out? And that got me thinking, and it took me a year and a half to kind of accept that I was ready to take on another relationship and maybe give it an honest try. And during that time, I had to let go of a lot of my baggage because, in starting any relationship or even standing at a brink of, you know, you know, starting to look out for someone, you have to let go of a lot of baggage, because if you're carrying that with you, then you've already set yourself up for failure. Gave myself a whole positive overhauling, so to speak. And I decided to, get out and meet a few people. And if it worked out, then it worked out. I mean, I never told myself that I'm going to ever get married again. But, I was open to the idea of let life take its course, and, let it take me wherever it needs to take me. And
Right,
if the person is right, then why not?
right. So
I
then, how
wanted a
did you?
companion.
Right. So then, how did you figure out what were the qualities that you were looking for that would indicate that this is the right person for me?
So one of my top priorities was for that person to accept my daughter if we were going to get serious in a relationship and, look at, marriage and things like that. Um, so that was one of my first things, that I wanted, to have a father figure for my daughter. I wanted her to feel what a real man is. I don't want her to sit with this, this impression that men are not good and fathers abandon their daughters, and, the whole institution of marriage is wrong. And, I want her to have her own experiences. I don't want her to judge them based on what happened to me. So I wanted her to have a stable father figure who she respects and, has for the rest of her life, and who will not abandon her and who will not, give up on her like her biological father did. So that was one of my main points. But the most important, and I am being brutally honest about it, because I have started putting myself first. And even if that makes me sound like a bad mother or a bad human being, let it, because that's the learning I've had over the course of my life.
So, what was that exact point or that experience that made you think that I'm going to say a yes to him and I'm going to marry him and I'm going to leave my inhibitions about marriage and I'm going to take the leap of faith?
Okay. So my daughter asked me this about 2 weeks back, and she asked him, and I didn't know. And then she came and she asked me this question. So I'm very clear about what that moment was because I had a lot of time to think about it. So I promised Ria that year when I met Akshay that I'm gonna take her to Disneyland. And I started saving up money, and I thought, okay, summer holidays will be in Disney for her. And Akshay told us, he said, if you don't mind, can I join you both for this vacation? So I said, yeah, the more the merrier, if I can't go on a roller coaster, you'll sit with her, and it's great. So we went to Paris, we went to Disney, and after that we went on a road trip to Belgium. And Ria has this habit where she doesn't order anything herself, in a restaurant or in a shop. Like if she wants something, she'll wait for me to pick it up and pay, and she'll wait for me to do everything. So we were sitting in this restaurant, and she looks at me. I said, this is the menu. What do you want to have? And she was trying to read the menu because we were teaching her how to read it, and ordering for herself. And I made her understand everything. And she looked at me and she said, okay, Mama, I want this. And she pointed at the menu. So the waiter came and I told him what I wanted. Akshay told him what he wanted. And the waiter looked at Ria and he said, what do you want? And she looked at me and she pointed at that thing in the menu and she went completely mum. And Akshay said, no, Mama is not going to order for you. Why don't you order for yourself? And she refused to do it. And he kind of, became a little strict in that moment. He's like, no, you're not getting food if you're not going to order for yourself. And I was like, no, it doesn't work that way. She's going to stay hungry. Trust me, she's a very shy kid. And, she doesn't have that confidence to speak to, someone she doesn't know and give her order. So let it be. I'll place the order. So against his wishes, I placed the order. And we got our food, we had a great meal, we paid for it, and we walked out. And Ria was walking ahead of us a little bit, and we were falling a little behind, and we were talking about it. And we were just talking after dinner, and he turned around and he said, I don't think what you did was right inside. I said, why, what happened? He said, no, you placed the order for her. I said, yeah, because she's shy, it's okay, I'm her mom. And he's like, no, you're raising an independent young girl. Why have you forgotten that? You need to let her place her own order. And if you keep doing things for her, she's always going to turn to you to do it for her. And whether it is a battle, whether it is an order, whether it is picking up something, whatever it is that she needs, she's going to depend on you. And you don't want that. You want her to become independent, don't you? And I looked at him and I said, he's absolutely right. Like, by doing such a small thing, I'm taking away that little piece of confidence also that I'm trying to instill in her by doing all these things. So the next day we went to the restaurant and I said, today I'm not going to order for you. You're going to order for yourself. And she sat there in total disbelief, like, oh my God, now mom's not going to order. I'm going to stay hungry. So she picked up the menu. She looked at a few things. She didn't understand a few. She asked me what they were. And when the waiter came, he looked at her and he said, what would you like to have, little missy? And she turns to him and she gives him the order. And then she looks at us with this big smile on her face and this sense of accomplishment, like she's achieved I don't know what in the world. And she's like, oh my God, did you guys see that? I placed my own order and I didn't make any mistakes. And I just saw in that moment that what I was doing wrong, here's a man who was helping me set it right. He was not judging me for the wrong that I'm doing, but he was facilitating a positive reinforcement in my child's life. And that is the day I realized that this man is really a great father figure for my daughter. Apart from many other things, I mean, this is a very small incident that I'm giving you. Apart from taking her and spoiling her silly to, I remember sitting in a park and Ria was playing, and out of nowhere, she came and she jumped on his shoulder and, from the back, and she started swinging on his shoulder like that, And I saw that, and it was a moment of pure love, from a child. And she was giving it to the person who was slowly but surely every day making a little effort. And God knows he made a lot of effort with Ria. He'd sit and have conversations with her. He would take her out shopping. He would take her to theme parks in and around Dubai. He would take her to the pool. He would pick her up from school. Like, he's not even her father, and we are just dating. And I remember once I told him I can't make it for sports day. He showed up for her sports day. Even though her biological father lives in the same city, he didn't show up, but Akshay showed up, and he treated her to donuts and water after the, sports day was over. He bought some donuts for her friends as well. And, she was so happy, and she would come back and she would tell me what a great time she had every time she had these interactions with him. And then when this thing happened, I said, maybe he is the parent I'm looking for her. He is somebody who knows what she needs for a good, development, cognitive development, and, in every way, what a child needs to develop into a, fully functional adult. He understands that, and he's going to give it to her, and he's going to facilitate me in giving it to her. So that was a moment that I realized that if things go great, and this is what he also wants and what I want, then he's a great role model.
So clearly he's put in a lot of efforts to, make Rhea comfortable with her. But then when y'all spoke to her about your marriage, how did she take it? And how did you all have to talk to her to make her realize that she actually fit in the equation? Because, she would have that insecurity that, okay, they are getting married, but what about me? Obviously. So then how did you deal with that?
So, like I said, from day one, I wanted a parent for Ria. And I wanted her to be a part of this decision. If something was wrong, and, the person was not right for me, because my child didn't accept it, I would back off. So, Ria was a very important part of this decision making process. And what I decided to do back then, which again was trial and error, and it was more success in this case. I decided to bring Akshay into her life and have them interact on a regular basis. When you meet a child for 1 or 2 hours, it's good. If you meet them for a day, it's a little different. If you have to live with them, it's a totally different ball game. So I wanted to see over time how this relationship builds for them while we are building our own. So, everything around us worked in our favor. We went on a holiday together in the summer. We went on weekend trips together, the three of us, and we would stay in the same room. And, Ria and I would sleep on the bed, and he would get a, sofa, to sleep on, and things like that. I mean, we tried to create this family atmosphere for her to see. And we didn't do it purposely. We just ended up doing it that way because she was so much a part of my life that I felt whatever I'm doing, I don't want to do it without her. So she was like this, buy one get one free with me all the time. So we did holidays together, we did trips together, weekends out together, dinners together, lunches together, all of that. And slowly I think Ria fell in love with him because of the things he used to do, the way he used to treat her. He never treated her like, someone who is my daughter, a child whose mom he's dating. He never treated her like that. He always treated her like another adult on that table. So he would have conversations with her. If there was an opportunity to sit together, they both would sit together and they would leave me alone. So if only two people could sit in one place, they were both sitting together. So all these little things made her anyways a part of the equation. She never felt like it was her mom and this man who were in a relationship and she would somehow be fit in at a later stage. So as we went along, we kind of did a lot of things together. We tried to create this family atmosphere around us. He would come to my house, and my mom and my brother were there, and he would have meals with us, and Ria was there, and he kind of, just became one of us. And when it was time for him to propose to me, I had no idea. He had told me that, he had a conference in Amsterdam and he wanted to take me for it. And, it's nice in the winter. So why don't you come and you can shop and you can chill all day and I can do my work. And I said, okay, it's 3-4 days. It's not bad. Let's just go. So we ended up going. And then once he proposed to me and I said yes, he told me later on that he'd had a meeting with my mother and my daughter separately before coming for that trip. So he had spoken to my mom, and my mom was obviously very excited, and she had wanted this from day one because she really liked him. So she's like, yeah, you have our blessings, take her. Mom was like,
That
I
is
can't wait
so
for this to
cool.
happen. But with Ria, he had a conversation with her because he took her out one day in the evening and he said, I want to ask your mother to marry me. Are you happy about it? She's like, yes. And he said, why? And he thought she's going to say praises about him, which she didn't. She said, every time my mom is with you, she's very happy. And because she's happy, I am happy. This is
Oh
my
my
9-year-old
God.
who had told, I mean, 8-year-old then, had told my to be husband that my mother is happy with you. And seeing her happy makes me happy. Because that's what I tell her every day. Seeing you happy makes me happy. And she was reciprocating that to me with this man. And she gave him the blessing for us to get married. And he's like, it would have not been possible without Ria saying yes. And she actually said, go ahead. And we did. And Akshay till today makes a lot of effort with her. And, he's trying to be the best father that, he can be to our little girl. And it melts my heart every day. It's filled with so much warmth and love for both of them. And to see what a beautiful relationship. It's not based on blood. It is not based on any legality because he's still not adopted her legally because the process takes that much longer. So we are in the process of it. So there's no paperwork to say she's his daughter. There's no blood to say she's his daughter. But here are these two people who met out of a circumstance and made such a beautiful relationship for each other. And they are fulfilling each other's lives in such a way that there are days when my husband turns around and tells me things like, I think I married you because of your daughter, because she's so loving. I said, but earlier it was the other way around. You
That is
married
so
me for
sweet.
me. What has changed? He's like, because she's giving me so much love and so much affection on a daily basis. And she's changed me as a human being. And he was this guy who'd never had kids, forget having a daughter. And anyways, having a daughter is a very different experience than having sons. They give so much love, they give so much warmth. And he's getting that which he never got before. So, he's so happy. And I see that every day, and it is such a fulfilling sight. I mean, it's so heartwarming. I cannot tell you. Like it's one of the best things that has happened to me. That Ria has got a father figure, someone she respects so much, and the other way around as well. He really respects her. Her opinions are getting stronger and stronger every day. So, he's learning how to kind of, live with them and influence them in a very positive way, and, raise an independent, you know, strong girl that we want her to be. So he's just being the perfect parent right now. I think he's kicking my ass at that.
That is really very heartwarming, touch wood. So this is how you turned around your personal life. So overall, what do you say you learned in this whole journey? It was maybe you had hardships only to realize and value what true happiness was. So what are your key learnings from this whole experience?
So again, a lot of learnings. But one of the main things that I felt, that I needed to accept for myself is that while I was happy being with myself and I was enjoying my own company, I was also looking for a companion, and I was looking for love, and I was ready to accept it wholeheartedly. So when you open your heart and soul and your mind to something, the universe, and we've read this in a lot of places, that the universe manifests it, and all the forces align together and they bring it to you. So you have to be open to the experiences that you want in life. You can't close a door and say, you can't wait for someone to knock it down. You have to open that door and let the good vibes come in. So this is something that, that I learned in this time, that the minute I opened myself up to love, to marriage, to companionship, it came my way, and it kind of gave me all those things, all the missing pieces that I felt were needed to make this complete. Not that I was not complete in my own way, but just, kind of fulfill my life in more ways than one. So that's something that I learned. And also, when you meet someone at this age, you're so headstrong yourself. When you're in your 20s, you really don't know what you want. Most of the time I feel marriages fail because we marry so young, because we don't know what we want. How do we expect to know, what is the kind of life partner that we want? It's
Very
like
true.
signing a lifelong lease for something that you can't get out of at the age of, like, 22. So you really don't know what you're doing. So when you marry at a later stage, even if it's your second marriage or your first marriage, when you marry in your late 30s or 40s, like so many of my friends have, and now that I have, we know exactly what we want. We understand what we are looking for. We understand that everyone does not fit that mold of a perfect human being for us, because no one is perfect. We are not perfect, they are also not perfect. Everybody comes with their flaws. So you become very accepting of the other person for their flaws and for their rights. Whatever's right with them, you accept it. Whatever's wrong with them, you accept it. And I think that's where relationships become strong. And that is something we need to learn in every area of our life, that we have to accept every human being in our life for all their wrongs and all their rights, for all their flaws and all their beauty. You cannot hold on to someone and say, okay, this person talks like this, but this person also stood with me at 3 o'clock in the morning emergency room when I needed him. So he's a beautiful person, yet he may have a few flaws. He or she may have a few flaws, and you've got to accept people for who they are. So that's one big learning that I got during this time. That we've got to, there's certain quirks that Akshay has, and so do I. I mean, and we laugh about it now, and he's like, but other wives don't, behave this way. You're so cool about it. I said, I'm cool about it because I have my own flaws, and you accept them just the same way as I accept yours. So I have nothing to complain about. And that's something that I would have never understood in my 20s, which I'm understanding now. The beauty of taking it easy, the beauty of accepting things for what they are and just enjoying the moment, and just being in the moment and having a great time. Because life is so short, you don't know when the things are going to be taken away from you. So just
Very
enjoy,
true.
just accept all the flaws, accept all the problems that come with it, and accept all the good that comes with it, and just keep yourself open to experiences and opportunities.
And what would you want to say to someone like me or anyone else going through something like this? Because when we are in the moment, it's really difficult. So, what do you have to say?
I know. It's very, very difficult, and it's easier said than done when people say, "Oh, come on, move on. What's gone? Let bygones be bygones." It takes a very long time for a bygone to be a bygone, and to forgive someone who's done so wrong to you, which you didn't deserve. And, it leaves you very heavy hearted and, in a very dark place sometimes. But what I want to tell every single woman or every single man, any person out there, whether it's a man or a woman, who's going through a heartbreak, that, sometimes you got to realize that when people leave your life because they don't value you, you are better off without those people. So don't spend any time crying over them or mulling over what could have gone right, what if and could have and should have and all of that, all those doubts. Just let them go. Take your time. Do whatever it is that you need to do to get over it. Some people take 5 days to get over grief, some people take a year to get over it, and some people take a lifetime. So no one is judging. There's no clock that's ticking. Whenever you are ready to move on then. And whatever you need to do in the meantime to get over it, let no one judge you. And even if people are judging you, let them keep judging you. One of the biggest things that I did, I mean, one of the bad things that I did to get over my heartbreak was to go completely shopaholic. Like, I was a shopaholic to the point where, like, if I had 5 minutes with me myself alone, I would place an order online. Like, that's how compulsive shopaholic I had become. But that got me by in my grief. Materialistic pleasure gave me some sort of satisfaction. And yes, people can judge me all they want for it, but it is what it is. It got me through a bad phase in my life, and I could have become a drunkard for that matter and spoiled my body, my liver and my kidneys and all of that. I didn't do that. But if people are doing that, then okay, to each their own. But you know while loving yourself, just do the right thing. And if there are things that give you pleasure, just go ahead and do it, because grief is dealt with best the way we want to deal with it, not the way other person wants us.